Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Think Inter-Business School Debate. Mr. Viren Kaushik, would you like to start the debate and then we can take it forward?
Hello, everyone, the participants, the jury, and the viewers. On behalf of the FMS Forum, I extend a very warm welcome to you all for this exciting debate. Many of you are perhaps aware that the Forum is a society of passionate, distinguished FMS alumni formed to give back to the alma mater in the spirit of Guru Dakshina. The Forum is an intellectual platform undertaking activities targeted to achieve newer heights for the brand FMS as a leading business school. One of the activities in this direction is holding a flagship event on the Founders' Day, comprising of inter-school debates, talk, and panel discussion on a topic of contemporary importance. The theme selected for this year is artificial intelligence. Historically, use of artificial intelligence started decades ago with building immense databases and algorithms for deep machine learning. Essentially, it was targeted for discriminative use. That means to assist or replace the human decision-making in routine processes like dynamic pricing, loan approvals, employee selection, etc., etc. However, it has now grown into a much wider domain of generative AI for any and every imaginable type of use, be it writing tasks, designing, arts, performing arts, chatbots, etc., and is still evolving. Where this will go is yet to be seen. It is in this context that this debate's topic, AI, force multiplier, or loose cannon, assumes importance. As a matter of fact, hardly any day goes by when AI is not in the news, positive or negative. 2 days back, we read ChatGPT throwing up gibberish. Yesterday, we read that the government of India has sent a notice to Google for giving some uncomfortable replies on their Gemini platform. With these introductory remarks for setting the context, I welcome you all once again and request my colleague Puneet to start the debate process.
Thank you so much, Viren, for your nice introductory remarks. Can we go to the next slide? Well, before we begin, let me just welcome you all once again to a very interesting debate on a very interesting topic, AI, force multiplier, loose cannon. So we have a full house of distinguished speakers from a lot of luminary colleges, and we also have 3 distinguished judges with us who are going to be responsible for judging the debate today. So let me quickly introduce our jury members before we move forward with the debate. We have Professor Bardhan with us online. Professor Amit Bardhan is a professor in the Faculty of Management Studies, New Delhi. His area of research includes analytics and operations research. He has a PhD in operations research from the University of Delhi, and he did his postdoctoral research at the University of Texas at Dallas. He's taught at the University of Delhi and other leading business schools since 2000. And his work has been published in many leading journals, and he also conducts management development programs and sponsored research. Welcome, Professor Bardhan. It's a pleasure to have you with us, and we look forward to your interesting insights. Now, I would like
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Bardhan. And I would like to welcome Mr. Alok Brara to the jury members also. Alok Brara is the founder and CEO of India Infrastructure Publishing, and which is a leading provider of information, analysis, and insight on infrastructure sectors through magazines, through websites, and through conferences and research reports. So before founding India Infrastructure Publishing, Alok ran a consulting practice in New York from 1989 to 1996, prior to which he worked for 6 years in advertising at JWT in New York, where he was a vice president. He's been working as a member of several industry groups, including Niti Aayog's Working Group for Infrastructure Vision 2035, CII, FICCI Communication, and Digital Economic Committee. His master's degree in business and marketing from the University of Delhi and also from the Northwestern University at Evanston, Illinois. Welcome, Mr. Alok. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Happy to be here.
Thank you. Last but not the least, let me welcome with a huge round of applause Ms. Swapnil Srivastava. Swapnil has over 20 years of experience across telecom, technology, and media and entertainment sectors, working on key business priorities. As a global TMT analyst, she's leading a multicultural global analyst team located across the globe. In her illustrious career, she's had the opportunity to have 35 industry publications focusing on telecom, infrastructure, 5G, digital transformation, emerging technologies, as well as inputs to national policies for telecom, clouds, AI, Gen AI, e-commerce, to name just a few. Swapnil has been a keynote speaker for telecoms, digital infrastructure, data center, and 5G for a number of national conferences organized by industry associations. She was also recently selected as the Woman Leader in Telecom by Communications Today, a leading telecom publication. She's very passionate about diversity and inclusiveness and causes for STEM education, equal opportunity, and tech mentorship program, to name a few. Well, let me give you a virtual round of applause for all the jury members, and I welcome you to have an engaging session with us today. Thank you, all the jury members. Can we go to the next slide? So I want to quickly touch base upon the process which we have followed for the debate. So we advertised our intent to conduct this debate on several industry and national platforms. We approached about 14 business schools to participate in the debate, out of which 10 teams had submitted their presentations. 3 eminent jury members were selected as the moderators and as the judges for the debate today. Out of 10 teams, 5 teams have been shortlisted who are going to be competing for the first, second, and third prize today, and there'll be live presentations. And the top 3 prizes will be announced as a part of the Founders Day event on March 5th, 2024. Can we go to the next slide? Thank you. So the presentations will follow the following sequence. We'll have team from XLRI come first, a team from Faculty of Management Studies next, team from IMT Ghaziabad third, team from IIM Indore fourth, and team from IIFT will be presenting their content fifth in the sequence. The presentations are meant to be 10 minutes per presentation, which will be followed by a 5 minutes Q&A. We would request teams to manage their own time. So in case you go over 10 minutes, then you might be marked down. We'll try to stick to your limit of 10 minutes. For Q&A, we'll be allocating 5 minutes, and the jury members are going to coordinate amongst themselves and ask questions. You may be asked questions by one jury member or both or all 3. It depends on the time and your questions and answers. So without further ado, we're going to go live with the presentation from XLRI. If the technology team could bring up XLRI's presentation and put them on the spotlight, I think that would be fantastic. All right. Welcome, Sai, and welcome, Devija. It's all yours. Stage is all yours. Please take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. So, my name is Sai Parchuru, and here's my teammate Devija. We're talking about AI, force multiplier, or a loose cannon. We have decided to pick the side of a loose cannon, and we'll now talk about it in detail. Next slide, please. So, before we start about why is it a loose cannon, let's just see what AI is. AI, basically, the artificial intelligence, is basically a simulation of human activities. It basically learns from human. It basically learns how humans make decisions and then mimics it and performs it on our behalf. So we basically give it a training data, make it capable enough to understand patterns. Once it recognizes the patterns and insights, it starts applying those patterns and insights into real world scenarios and ensure that whatever learning it has acquired is been applied. So it has numerous applications where we have chatbots, self-driving cars, fraud detection systems, and so on. It has been gaining a lot of popularity in the past decade or two. But despite it having various benefits, it has some disadvantages and it has some challenges. For example, it has so much of hidden errors. We don't know when an error occurs, what is the source of the error and how do we rectify it. It's just learning patterns, and how it learns patterns is not known. Also, we don't have control once AI comes in. So we have a fraud detection system, and why it detects as a fraud and why it doesn't, we don't really know until unless we have another layer of check beyond it. Also, there are so many hazards because we don't really know what goes into the systems and how is it applied, how can we control. So we'll talk about it in detail. Next slide, please. Yeah, just a recap on the beneficial aspects, right? It basically reduces human error. It can be used for data analysis and insight, crunching down huge numbers to make sense out of it. We can use AI in areas where there's risk involved, let's say in a hazardous factor setup and so on. Efficiency and productivity can be improved. These are all the positive aspects, but we do have some risks. Like for example, we also have a job displacement risk where a huge workforce is being laid off because of automations and because of AI coming into picture, which will basically be catastrophic. There'll be security concerns, so we can have deep fake, we can have cyber crimes. So all of this technology can be misused and can be detrimental to the society. Next slide, please. And now my friend Divya will talk about a little more disadvantages in detail.
Okay, now coming to the point of the black box. So what exactly do we think about when we think of the name black box? Black box is that whenever AI is performing something, it takes some decisions, but why does it take them? That is the question that arises. That is not transparent enough for us to understand why it is taking those decisions. For example, there was an incident in Arizona in 2018 where a car which is equipped with AI could not identify the pedestrian that was walking and hit him, and it caused to the death of the pedestrian. But why did it take that decision? Because of this lack of transparency of the AI, we call it as a opaque box, a black sealed box. So this is the AI black box phenomenon. And whereas coming to the other aspects of where it can be assumed as a black box, we think about criminal justice system. Why is it giving this sentence to that person? We don't know, because that is one disadvantage of AI. Because of its lack of transparency, there is an issue of trust that comes into place. Along with the criminal justice, we also have credit scoring. What basis is it giving that credit scoring? We don't know. All these we don't know. The question comes up. That is where the trust that humans have on that AI is questioned. Next slide, please. The next part is rogue AI. So, as we said, AI is a black box. We can't know what it predicts. But how about we see something where the AI loses its control? As we talked about, we are talking about a loose cannon. So if AI is having a simple malfunction or someone is hacking it, then what is the consequences of it? So there are some incidents where the AI went rogue, like it couldn't exactly identify which the person requires which punishment, or with if it is hacked and it does something with the financial markets or power grids or water supply systems, what do we do? So this is the question that comes up with everyone. So if AI goes rogue, what is the what is the consequences on the human race? So there are scenarios where AI went rogue. For example, if in a military equipment, there is AI integration in everything. You are integrating AI into a military equipment. What if that military equipment doesn't recognize you as a non-threat person, but if it recognizes you as a threat? So this is the concept of rogue AI. Next slide, please. And yes, it went rogue. It has done something. But now who is accountable? Whom do you blame it on? Is it the person that has developed the AI? Is it the person that has organized the organization which is in charge of that AI, or the policymakers? Who are the person responsible? Is it the person who is using it? We don't right now. There is no specific this court on which these things go on, or there is no specific law. who is to be blamed. So that is the point. Right now, there is a thing going on like we can blame the AI directly. The entire blame goes onto the AI. But how do you make it a law? There are very much loopholes on creating this law. It's a very difficult aspect. Some of the incidents where the AI who is accountable question arised was one more accident where Tesla AI navigation system failed and killed two people, and one of the AI went rogue, and during a COVID pandemic it instigated the suicide attempt of a person. So these things, who is responsible? Is it the person that is using? Is it the AI? So there is even some system in Europe, like Europe Union's AI Act, in which some AIs are high risk AIs are banned from even utilizing them. So this is how the things are changing. So the point of who is accountable is also another question. Next slide, please. Then comes the ethical considerations part of the AI. So we are talking about who is accountable. So instead of thinking about who is accountable after an incident has occurred, there can be some ethical considerations that we can follow so that the AI doesn't cause the destruction it causes. So these are the ethical considerations which are given by Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella. 10 laws of AI. AI must be designed assist to humanity. It must be transparent, maximize efficiencies, and design for intelligent privacy. So these are 10 laws that he has provided. And there are different guidelines. The UN has issued guidelines, standards around all these ethical. The ethical concept of AI is a completely different concept altogether, which is right now should be put into force very importantly to make sure that it doesn't cause any destruction in our future. Next slide, please. From here, my colleague will take on.
Yeah. So as we know, we've basically reached to a conclusion that there are so many benefits associated to it, there are so many risks associated to it. But because of the risk, we should not, step back. Whereas we should basically try to mitigate the risk. How do we mitigate the risk? We basically start with data quality. We ensure that the right data is being fed into the systems and the models are trained properly and they are trained without any biases. It's very easy for a machine learning model to get into a bias and surpass the checks, and later on in real life scenario it basically doesn't solve the purpose that it is designed to. Also, we need to have transparency in the models, like why is the model being used, what is it, how is it being benchmarked, what are the performance indicators, and how do we basically bring it back on track if something goes wrong. There should be a constant human monitoring and oversight. There shouldn't be a case that it's fully autonomous, it's fully AI based, and human is not controlling at all. It should be the case that AI is doing its job, but at the end the control lies in the hands of a human, so that he basically checks that there's no misuse of it, or if there are any mistakes we can rectify. Also, there has to be a robust testing and validation. Also, the ethical considerations and compliance, which we already talked about, have to be taken care. So these are the few steps that we should take care to ensure that AI has lesser risk. Next slide, please. Also, we come to a conclusion that human and AI have to be integrated. AI is just an extension for human. It is not a tool that human can solely rely on. It should be used to improve our performance, improve our efficiency, and we have to be cognizant of the challenges that it will pose and be careful of it. Next slide, please. So to sum up, we basically prove that AI is a double-edged sword. It doesn't mean that it's inherently bad, it's uncontrollable. We just need to be cognizant of the challenges that it poses. We have to have AI clearly defining the goals and boundaries, and we should have robust safety measures, ensure that things don't go haywire, and transparency and accountability have to be defined clearly so that we handle this loose cannon properly. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Team XLRI. It's a pleasure hearing your opinions. Now I would like to welcome on stage the team from Faculty of Management Studies, Team FMS. If you could turn your cameras on, and we could bring up the presentation from FMS. Similar to what XLRI did, we would be managing our own time. There'll be no warning signals, so please make sure that we're able to wrap up in around 10 minutes.
Puneet, does the Q&A happen later?
I'm so sorry. I think we should do that now, Alok. Thanks for the interjection.
Yeah.
Before Team FMS comes online, my mistake, can the XLRI be brought back? And we can do a Q&A first. Sorry about that.
Alok, you can go first.
Yeah.
All right. So question for you. So what do you think the government should do about it? What should be the role of the government?
So before I answer that, I think the wrong teammate has been spotlighted. So can we please have my teammate spotlighted?
Yeah, Devija. Yeah, I think Swapnil is a judge. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. So what can the government do about it? So government should basically come up with policies to enforce that the development, the deployment, and not just development and deployment, even the design phase has to be controlled. We cannot have anybody create any sort of AI because AI is in the boom. People are getting crazy about it, and we've seen in the past few years when there are when there are any companies or any startup coming up with AI, we have full support for it, right from the startup community, VC community, and government. But that should be slowed down a little bit. There should be careful evaluation, and they should ask questions about how is it designed, how is it developed, what the testing and accuracy has to be checked.
Does every application need to be licensed?
Sorry?
AI technology needs to be licensed, or does every application need to be licensed or regulated?
Sorry, I didn't get that question.
Does every app need to be regulated? Or are you saying yes?
Yes. The technology has to be regulated, and even the application has to be regulated, because even with the regulated technologies, we can come up with haywire or out of the blue with applications which could cause damages. It's not always that people have bad intentions. They could develop something for the good intent with a good intention, but it could go haywire, where it could go out of control. So having regulations on the application front is also important.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does anyone
Swapnil?
members have follow-up questions?
Just a follow-up question, Sai and Devija. You mentioned about the regulation. Who do you think need to work together which stakeholders need to work together so that there's a balance between regulation and innovation? What, according to you, who all need to work together in the AI ecosystem?
Okay. So I think that the stakeholders that should be responsible in working together to develop a proper regulation would be the government, the people who have to give the regulation and law, and the developer of that AI program, and also the company or the organization that is giving the R&D funding to that development. So these three people should be working together so that no one faces a loss in this situation. I think there should be transparency in the procedure also, because whenever the decision is being made into taking, like, this is what is being taken, there should be a reasoning behind why this decision is being taken. That people should also know why this part of the AI is not being used. There should be a limit, and that limit should also be displayed, or it should be transparent to the public.
Also, to add up onto my teammate's answer, not just a company and its employees and the government, we should have some other stakeholders like industry experts from various domains chipping in to bring their insights and their viewpoints to ensure that all sides of the coin are being covered properly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I have one quick question. Nikhil and Devija, you have identified a few problems with AI. So one of the ideas that was proposed some time back was to kind of take a pause or slow down the development. So what are your views on that?
Yeah, sure. So the reason why the idea was to slow down the development was because it gives us some time to think. Right now, things are so rapid, things are happening at such a pace that it's uncontrollable. We've recently had ChatGPT 3, then we're having ChatGPT 4. Now we have another, I forgot the name, but we have another project from OpenAI, which basically creates videos from prompts. So the technology is going in at a pace where it cannot be controlled, and once we reach a place where it is out of our hands, then there's no way to come back, because AI has taken control. Then it has taken control. Getting it back will be difficult. So prevention is better than cure. So that's the reason why I say we have to step back, have proper policies, have proper monitoring, and then do a development in a controlled manner. It's always better to walk confidently than run confusedly.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to take a 1-minute pause for the judges to mark their ballots. At the end of 1 minute, we'll have Team FMS come online. So Team FMS, please be ready, and let's just take a 1-minute pause.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Go ahead, I think.
Okay, sounds great. So Team FMS, welcome to the debate. Could we please bring up their presentation? Wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir. Shall we begin?
Yes, you may begin now.
Good morning, everyone. This is Team FMS Striders. I am Garima Malik, along with my teammate Ridhima Srivastava. And today we're presenting our case in favor of artificial intelligence being a force multiplier. Can we move to the next slide? It's the 1940s, with the World War II in full swing. The Germans have just employed an Enigma machine to secure communication. The Allies are struggling to figure out how to break the Enigma codes through the use of traditional methods. In enters our hero, Alan Turing, who is highly regarded as the father of modern computing and artificial intelligence. He not only was able to break the Enigma code, but also laid down the foundation of one of the most important developments of our centuries, artificial intelligence. His breakthrough was also able to cut down the World War II by a total of 2 years and saving countless lives. This is just one example of the advent and the birth of AI. Over the years, AI has successfully been able to generate a number of innovations and holds the potential to transform our lives positively forever. Can we move to the next slide? As we look at very significant numbers about how AI is positively impacting businesses and also helping contribute to economies across the world, it's also very important to just step back and take a look at a piece in history where a similar debate was sparked about the advent of tech and innovation. People were hesitant, they had fears regarding the invention of technology and automation. Among all of this, a Boston University economist proved everyone wrong by showing how out of the 270 occupations listed in the US, only one single job was displaced because of automation, which was that of an elevator operator. Now, among the very arguments against AI, one of which being job displacement, there are several other fears around artificial intelligence, which we will now be further discussing in the upcoming slides. Over to you, Ridhima.
Thank you. Please move to the next slide. What they say versus the truth. They say AI would cause mass unemployment, especially of the low-income segment. But they probably do not know that there are studies by the likes of International Labour Organization which say that AI would improve job quality instead of causing mass unemployment. AI would enable an employee to have strategic focus only on high-value tasks impacting productivity and job satisfaction. A research into the top 10 occupations most exposed to generative AI revealed that on average, it impacts only about 1/3 of the tasks associated with each job. AI is more likely to replace tasks rather than entire jobs. Moreover, contrary to expectations, 7 out of the top 10 exposed occupations boast above average weekly earnings and require tertiary qualifications, completely disregarding the misconception that it is more of the low income segment which would be affected. The value, power, and efficiency of AI does not arise from its ability to replace human beings. They say that AI will outsmart humans across industries, but they probably do not know the opinions of experts sitting at Harvard, one of which Dr. Karim Lakhani said that AI is not going to replace humans, but humans with AI are going to replace humans without. AI has its limitations. It lacks intuitive, emotional, and culturally sensitive traits which make humans humans. Organizations that would deploy AI to displace employees would only see short-term productivity gains and would miss its full potential. Research involving 1,500 companies, it was found that firms achieving the most significant performance improvements had humans and machines working together, introducing the idea of cobots or collaborative robots. Humans play 3 essential roles in the AI ecosystem: training AIs, explaining outcomes, particularly when they are counterintuitive, and ensuring responsible usage. And these tasks cannot be done away with. Can we move to the next slide, please? They say that AI exposes us to major security and data risks. What they probably fail to notice is that similar concerns were raised when internet was being brought forward for public usage. But it was collaboration among governments, industries, and civil societies which has brought us to where we are in the tech era. We cannot let our fears not allow us to explore the immense possibilities that AI has to offer. Strong regulations and international cooperations define the way forward, and laws like GDPR in the European Union and CCPA in the US are the right steps in this direction. We need to empower and educate users to know the value and importance of their data. Having said that, the major role here again is of the developers, which under the right regulations can create technology to create a self-sufficient AI ecosystem to keep all stakeholders protected and flourishing. They say that AI disinformation cannot be curbed, but they probably don't know that most tools in place today to curb disinformation are AI-based. AI-based tools can perform linguistic analysis of textual content to identify false information and reverse engineer manipulated media to detect deepfakes and highlight content that needs to be flagged. Community of informed users can contribute to ethical monitoring activities by looking for AI quirks, checking source reputation, conducting their own research, and seeking reality checks from trusted sources. We can move to the next slide, and Garima would take over.
So now when we speak about the extremely vast and untapped potential of AI, and we make extremely big claims like how AI will transform our lives forever, it actually makes sense to look at the breakdown of how artificial intelligence will penetrate the day-to-day lives of an ordinary person like you and me and everyone around us. So, right from having yourself virtually identified in government records at birth, to collecting your data over the entire span of your life, to personalize every service, every product at your disposal, and ultimately provide a better quality of life to every individual, AI holds this potential. It can provide you with better customized education plans. It can provide you with smarter retirement management. It can detect deadly diseases that you may have at an earlier stage and potentially even save your life ultimately in the long run. Can we move to the next slide, please? Right. So what's even more relevant is to look at it from a macroeconomic perspective. So here we have taken a look at some of the most significant sectors of any economy, the core pillars of any economy, and how each sector advancements in AI will positively impact each sector. So right from improving crop yield, improving productivity, improving opportunities for farmers in agriculture, to providing adaptive learning tools in education, to providing high quality medical imaging in healthcare, even something as minute as predicting the efficiency of a drug before it has even manufactured in healthcare, saving costs, saving potential lives. Similarly, in the job market as well, in the infrastructure sectors as well, through predictive analytics and machine learning algorithms, artificial intelligence truly holds the key to a better tomorrow. Can we move
can
to
move to the next slide,
over
please.
to Ridhima?
All right. When we talk about the wider scope of AI, there's so much to cover that we cannot even touch upon all the aspects. There is future of AI in sports, in crisis response, in space exploration, in environmental empowerment, in supply chain management, and natural language processing. I wish I had the time to talk about each of these because they're so interesting. But if I just have to talk about one, I would talk about Hyperlabs, an India-based startup which recently got featured on Shark Tank. Hyperlabs offers customizable dribbles and precision analytics to train players for the best. Imagine be able to input your competitors' data to practice for huge matches exactly according to how they are going to be. That is the potential of AI, ladies and gentlemen. Please move to the next slide. Despite the immense potential that AI has, we understand the concerns that non-believers have, and in no way do we wish to unwind them. The most fruitful ecosystem would be the one where all stakeholders act in positions of responsibilities. Policymakers, innovators, and users have different things to contribute here. Policymakers, as talked about earlier as well, must develop and enforce regulations to ensure ethical AI usage and ensure that topics like privacy, transparency, and bias are fully taken care of. Innovators must prioritize social good while developing AI and ensure that the ecosystem is self-sufficient enough to tackle the harms that AI might create. The users are requested to stay cautious about data sharing as they are requested to do so on internet itself and navigate this AI-driven environment with complete digital literacy. Can we please move to the last slide? The last slide, please. Having said all of that, we believe that AI is going to change the world more than anything in the history of humanity has, and that being for the good is entirely in our hands. With that, it's Team FMS Striders resting our case, but not our stance. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Team FMS, for that insightful information. May I request the jury members to ask their questions now?
If I may go first.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Of course.
Thank you. Ridhima and Garima, thanks for your views. What, according to you, you feel are the major challenges you foresee in AI adoption?
Ma'am, the first one would be, of course, its development to a way that it's actually user-friendly. That's the first thing that the industry in general is trying to tackle. The second thing would be making it accessible to all segments of the general public. With any new tech, it is the case that it's the elite and the high-income strata that gets to experience the technology first. But with a technology like AI and with the potential it offers, the penetration should be very fast. The next thing, of course, is digital literacy and being able to use that AI to the best of its potential and while keeping the user itself safe.
So just to add to that, another one which is very important is, of course, the collaboration between the stakeholders. So like we spoke about in our way forward as well, the most important thing to adoption, and not just adoption, but fair and equitable adoption, would be the collaboration between governments and the developers specifically. So that is also one aspect which definitely cannot be missed.
Alok, can you please?
Hello. Yeah, Professor Bardhan, go ahead.
Yeah. So I have a quick question. So India, in the service sector, majority of the employment is there. So what is your evaluation of the impact of AI on that sector with regards to jobs?
Sir, as covered earlier in the PPT as well, there have been studies which show that AI would not replace jobs and it would only replace some of the repetitive and mundane tasks that these jobs entail. That would lead to increased productivity and would lead to more output in terms of the work that the employee has to handle, which we believe can actually lead to more employment in the service industry in general. Talking about a geography like India specifically, a lot of work gets procrastinated, or a lot of work isn't handled very well because of the large population and the lesser number of people which are there to handle that amount of work. AI would specifically help to help reduce the workload and actually lead to greater results and a more efficient and faster growth for a country like India.
Just to add to that, sir, taking a cue from one of your lectures itself, we spoke about, how project management involves scheduling. So a software like dynamic scheduling can actually help reduce human error and can help make those processes more efficient. In turn, increasing the efficiency and productivity, like my colleague also mentioned, for the service sector. The advent of AI will also open up new sectors and new job opportunities in AI development itself. So it's in no way lessening the job opportunities, but actually expanding those.
Okay. Thank you.
Quick question from me. Who should regulate AI? Industry itself, or the government, or there should be a special agency?
Go ahead, please.
Right. So I think first it should come from the government itself. But again, it cannot be just the government. Like we said, it has to be a fruitful collaboration of the government and the industry. Through that collaboration only because the government also needs to, the industry stakeholders are the ones who have an understanding of how AI is designed, how it has to be developed, how it has to be deployed. So the government in itself cannot entirely regulate AI adoption. It has to be in collaboration with both.
And adding on to that, one very major example which came in the news very recently was that a major tech giant, Google, before the 2024 US elections, has announced that any political ad which has been AI generated must be flagged before it is issued for the public to see. And such initiatives must be welcomed and embraced by the community in general, because they mark a very positive step in the complete adoption of AI in today's world.
Okay, assuming there are no further questions, we're going to take a 1-minute pause and for the judges to mark their ballots before the next team comes online. Team IMT Ghaziabad, please get ready. Thank you so much, Team FMS.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, panelists.
Okay,
Yes.
we can bring up the presentation from Team Wintribe. Over to you, Team IMT Ghaziabad.
Thank you.
Very good afternoon to one and all present here. I'm Kandan Kode and have my colleague Varun Radhakrishnan here with me. Before we start the presentation, I would like to thank the FMS team for this wonderful opportunity. So I'd like to start my presentation by a quote. When you trust self-driving cars with your life, you pretty much trust everything with AI. So we'd like to start a presentation, AI, a force multiplier. Can you please move on to the next slide? So AI is a force multiplier in various segments. First one is the efficiency boost. AI boosts the efficiency in a lot of ways. And data processing power, it would be a mistake if I don't talk about ChatGPT in this segment. You give paragraphs and paragraphs of information, and ChatGPT just processes it and gives you the data in like minutes. Talking about efficiency boost, there's this web browser called as R, where like on a whole day, you'd be opening a lot of websites. And at the end of the day, if you want to go search for a particular website, you don't have to go back, search for all the websites and to take the website you want. This web browser basically has a feature of like kind of segregating the websites into a specific segment, so that when you want to search about your travel, you can just go to the travel segment and then look for the website again which you want to see. And the third one is precision and accuracy. So we have trusted AI with a lot of life critical aspects like medicine, and I also spoke about self-driving cars. And there are a lot of cities which are actually using AI-based flood detectors. So even Chennai uses the AI-based flood detector using the rainfall and other parameters, where when there is like any deviation from the measured levels, the warning will be sent to the required department. And the next one is 24/7 availability. So a chatbot is the best example of this 24/7 availability. You see any brand or any product nowadays have a chatbot and which promptly responds to your queries within seconds. Now I'd like to call upon my colleague to talk further about chatbots.
So, next slide, please. So it's no secret that chatbots have kind of revolutionized the way service industry works. Initially, the assumption was that all customer support executives or people who are like employees who are in the people-facing roles would be let go in favor of chatbots. But the reality is that the opposite has occurred. A lot of companies have now started using chatbots inside their own companies as a form of a knowledge management system or a training where employees can very well go ahead and access the information that is being asked by a customer and then get the answer that is required. The initial worry that chatbots will replace humans was all based on the fact that AI's accountability factor not taken into consideration. And also, we all forget that we as humans, at the end of the day, would want to talk with other humans rather than a chatbot. When you bring in a chatbot, the whole experience for the end customer is spoiled. That was one thing that companies learned, and that led to the flourishment of chatbots. We saw a rise in a lot of companies that specialized in like specific chatbots and that are catered to your official needs. And these are some of the advantages that we have listed for chatbots, like 24/7 availability, instant responses, and personalization. And we believe that the examples that I mentioned broadly cover all of these features. So next slide, please. And when we wanted to talk about AI as a force multiplier, we couldn't let this one out of the picture. So we just wanted to touch about Sora. We know that it has come out pretty recently, but the introduction to generating videos from text using AI has been for a long time. It's just that it took its own time to develop because of how complicated it was. But now that we have a glimpse of how the future of video generation is going to look like, we can say pretty much with confidence that AI is definitely a force multiplier. Let me give you just one or two examples. So we've listed out that the stock photos and videos businesses was valued at an impressive $5 billion market cap. Now, just imagine companies like Apple and Google, when they want to take an ad, they go ahead and they have the budget to go to any location they want and shoot the videos in a way they specifically wanted. But 99% of the companies who just want to create a captivating ad do not have those resources to do them. And those people turn to stock websites. But now the playing field has kind of been leveled. These companies, with the help of AI, can generate proper videos that are like that have little to no deviations and can be very much accepted as a actual video. Few examples that I would like to quote are like Nature's, where like a drone shot. So just think of the jobs that it will reduce and think of the expenses that the businesses will reduce. They need not hire a drone, rent a drone. They need not hire a drone pilot. Two different skills that are not required for a business to shoot a captivating ad. And apart from that, the possibilities are just endless. Just like how image generation was bad at first and then kept getting better and better and better. Sora as well we have no doubt that it's going to just soar. And with NVIDIA's recent valuations reaching close to $2 trillion, we are pretty confident that the hardware is also there to back up these impressive features. Next slide, please. Now my colleague will take over.
So now I'm going to talk about how AI So let's just really we think about actually AI control diversity. So basically, AI or filter the suppliers so that they bias is removed from the suppliers, and also they are also helping the suppliers who are not able to come up with AI tools to improve their capacity. And there's also AI different areas where it actually remove bias, like in the recruitment process. The AI systems are used for that, or the people are selected basically merely based on their capabilities, their resume, and their capacity, rather than a general
For
or
a second,
other.
audio is not very clear. Could you please take a 10-second pause and check your audio real quick? We're not going to hear you very well.
Yeah. Is it better now? Is it better
Yes,
now?
it is better now.
Yeah. So I'll start this slide again. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. So I'm going to talk about how AI has helped in boosting the diversity. So we have read this very recent article in Unilever where Unilever is actually using AI to improve the diversity in their suppliers. So Unilever is basically leveraged AI to
Sorry to interrupt again. We are not able to hear you. It's very muffled and it's echoing. Maybe your co-participant can take this slide if that's okay.
Sure. So basically, we wanted to talk about how Unilever, a big name company who sources a lot of products for all of the brands that it has, is now using AI to particularly identify suppliers who are diverse. Now, how is this a huge accomplishment? Now, the problem with finding suppliers who are diverse, businesses who represent diverse people, as well as people from all sorts of people from all around the world. The problem is that they are buried in a sea of data. But with the help of AI, we can learn to clean up all the clunk that is there, hiding these businesses, and giving them an opportunity to grow as with a brand like Unilever, and that's with a brand like Unilever. And these are the few things that Unilever used, apart from also providing those businesses that they found with the tools required to grow. Next slide, please. So now we talked about a lot of small examples in general.
Do you want to see if your colleague can try again?
Yeah, sure. Kode, can you please try again?
Yeah, am I audible? Is it better right now?
Yes,
Much
totally
better.
fine. Much better.
Oh, thank you. So now I'd like to talk about how AI is a force multiplier and how it's used in various aspects of business. So the first thing is it has a versatile application. For example, when we're developing a self-driving car, we're not developing it for a particular city or a particular lane. We're developing it so that it can be used worldwide. Apart from that, like for example, you're a new business, you want to deploy chatbot. It is not that like you have to start from scratch. There are a lot of applications like IBM Watson where you can customize your chatbot, like you can customize your chatbot according to your need, and it is a very easy module where you can, there are a lot of courses, and it's a easy and step-to-step module where any small business which is willing to deploy chatbot can actually deploy the chatbot and learn and actually try to use the chatbot. The next one is the economic potential. As my colleague spoke about Sora, there's no need for the companies to now actually go search for locations, spend on transportation to shoot a video. They can just use AI to generate videos of like whatever video they want. The third one is advanced neural networks. So I've read an article where I saw that about 101 million of Indian population is diabetic. So diabetic as a condition does not only lead to increase in sugar, it leads a lot of side effects. Like one such side effect is increasing like blindness. So AI, an advanced neural network, is used to detect the retinal image. It is used for retinal image analysis for early detection of this blindness. Data empowerment. There are a lot of companies which are using AI in their KMS system, ERP, Salesforce. A lot of other companies are also using AI in their knowledge management system, and driving innovation and growth. AI is driving innovation and growth in literally all the business segments. Next slide, please. So this chart briefs of how AI is actually has helped the growth and innovation in various segments. So one such segment I would like to talk about is healthcare. And all of us know when we were suffering from COVID, the Arogya Setu app was a great help. And Arogya Setu app has also used AI in its location tracker. Like when you are in a place, it actually shows how many people around you are infected in COVID and other stuff. So these things are definitely an advantage when we use AI. Now I'd like to call my colleague to take over.
So now that we touched upon a lot of small examples, like one main thing that a lot of people miss out when they talk about AI is one subset of AI, which is machine learning, which also impacts how AI as a whole functions. Now, one thing that we wanted to talk about was how it's being used alongside supercomputers and other advanced research materials. The development of proteins, which used to be such an intensive task, is now being eased with the help of AI. There are two ways in which AI is impacting this. One is that it is now empowering businesses to buy the hardware, as those hardware will not only be used for synthesizing protein, but as well as running AI models. And that can, as we talked about NVIDIA's recent earnings before, the hardware is now coming in. And apart from that, AI has already made it easier to synthesize a lot of patterns and come up and test multiple different types of proteins before it can be brought into productions. The timelines for discovering drugs as well as vaccines have been shortened by a lot. And with the impact of COVID, we all know how important a timeline is. So next slide, please. Next slide. And with this, we couldn't think of a better way to conclude. I think let's just go back to 2020, 2021-ish, where ChatGPT was just into the picture. Over 1 million users wanted to use ChatGPT when it launched. To give you some context, the internet, when it launched, just had a few people who were very tech savvy, who wanted to check out how it was. This kind of showed that people recognized what AI could do, but they just did not know how to properly use it as yet. They recognized that AI is an extension of their own intelligence and not a threat to them. So people were very much intrigued to try it. We don't deny that AI is a loose cannon. We don't deny that AI as a loose cannon is bad. The issue is that we shouldn't just stop there. Like our colleagues mentioned a lot of times, regulation should be made to ensure that AI is properly managed and misuse does not happen. When it comes to that, we cannot directly say that there won't be any misuse. Any technology, for that matter, will always have bad activities. And I would like to end this by saying that AI is also a technology, a tool. The choice on how it gets deployed ends up in your hands. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate your thoughts and views. Before the jury members ask a question, I request you to please spotlight the jury members. Okay, so can we have Professor Bardhan on stage as well before we start the question and answer session?
Professor Bardhan should ask a question. Is he there?
Not sure if he's on the spotlight.
So he's not there.
Maybe he's had some temporary issue. I'll check with him. Alok, viewer Swapnil could take the question forward.
Okay. I'll ask a question while we wait for him. Same question as for the other teams. Who does the regulation and how far do they go?
The regulation is very complicated, sir. Like, the problem is that AI is not a closed source language. It is pretty open source, and people who do know how to get things done. And just like blockchain, it is not like, for the common people, it may be very difficult to figure it out. But people who know what they're doing can very well develop models that bypass any of these regulations or any restriction that the government is willing to make. The thing that the government can do at this point is regulate how common people who cannot at this point in time develop their own AI models, how they use it and what kind of information they see. In any sector you take it, AI will have both pros as well as cons. If we have time for just one example, I can quote one. So like there was this one example in the medical field where a mom was able to diagnose a very rare symptom that a kid was facing by inputting the symptoms into ChatGPT and getting a list of diseases, using which they cross-checked. Again, AI was not the end decision maker here, but it did help the doctors. This is definitely a one-off case. We are not denying that. I think the answer is pretty common. The stakeholders will be the users who are using it, the government as they are needed to make the regulation, as well as the people who are making application for the masses, AI application for the masses. Sir, I'm unable to hear.
Yeah, Professor Bardhan, your question.
Yeah. You have made a strong case for AI. My question is, do you think with the use of AI, businesses will become become more risk prone or they will be more resilient?
Sir, I think with the introduction of AI, business
Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes. So I think with the introduction of AI, businesses will become more risk resilient because AI as a tool is able to detect a lot of things beforehand. So if there is any error or something, like the time required by humans to detect that error is definitely more compared to the time required by artificial intelligence to detect that error. And we know that a lot of companies are actually using AI in a lot of their knowledge management systems. So the computation speed, like basically AI has a lesser computation speed, which basically gives an advantage of time to detect the errors, and thus it is definitely makes it more risk resilient.
And just to add on to that point, even if there is a issue where there is a huge risk, we can definitely say that having an AI with the vast information can be the best companion you can have when it comes to that kind of a stage. As with or without AI, businesses will face risk, and who do you have as the best companion next to you will be the answer to if you get out of it or not.
One small question, if there is time. In your presentation, you talked about boosting diversity using AI. So the data thus far is not very favorable in this area specifically, if I go by the research. How do you think that AI is going to meet that challenge?
So as we said, so AI is being constantly deployed to improve diversity. There are organizations like very big organizations like Unilever, which are trying to deploy AI to improve the diversity. Like as we spoke about the Unilever example, it is basically using AI to filter out the suppliers, give equal opportunity to all the suppliers. So such an implementation cannot just, it'll definitely take time, but it is definitely going towards the greater good.
And we also talked about Sora, like just to give a small example. So Sora, initially 1 year back, there was a AI generated video of Will Smith, which looked very, very bad. But just give it a year and enough training data for the AI to improve, we all saw what results it could now produce. And I believe it's the same in every aspect, even for diversity. It is just a starting point for now as businesses want to experiment. And as and when they experiment, the more data it gets, the better the AI gets. So we can definitely see much improvements in terms of diversity and the use of AI.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, team IMT Ghaziabad. We'll take a 1-minute pause and then we'll hear from the next team. Ready, judges?
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. Now, may I please welcome the next team to come on stage, which is the team from IIM Indore. You may begin your presentation now.
Hi, good afternoon, esteemed panel member. We are Team Think Tank, and we consist of Khushi Sani and myself, Sosimanto. And we have taken a stance, AI is a force multiplier for this debate. Moving on to the next slide, please. So first, we have divided this presentation in 4 broad segments. We'll point out the current landscape, show why AI is a force multiplier, and then we'll also address concerns and give recommendations based on real-world examples. Now, first part, we'll see the overview of the industry. Currently, AI, and with inclusion of Gen AI, it has the potential to add 2.6 to 4.4 trillion in value in global economy across 63 different use cases. And as you can see from the slide at the right-hand side, approximately 80% of the business across industries, across offices, and across job title have either regularly used AI in their office work or have at least tried at least once. In terms of growth trajectory, AI could grow as much as 63% and CAGR in next 5 years in terms of market value. Now, moving on to the next slide. When we talk about AI adoption in the industries, if you see the left-hand chart graph, the y-axis is industries and x-axis is function. And across industries and across function, there's a potential to create value, and these have been marked accordingly. And if you collate this, combine this, the combined value comes to $2.6 to $4.4 trillion. Now, where does this value create? Now, AI can create this value in 4 broad domains: customer operations, marketing and sales, software engineering, and R&D. We'll cover each of them in the upcoming slides. So how do they help in? They reduce the cost or increase the revenue. And these are the breakups and the companies which are giving their opinion that in which segment they are able to either reduce the cost or increase the revenue. Moving on to the next slide. Now coming to why AI is a force multiplier. AI can transform efficiency and innovation by automating routine tasks, optimizing workflows, and reducing cost. Now, when it comes to AI, it can absorb 60 to 70% of current employee time in the current business scenario. And if you see the technical capabilities that a human brings, such as creativity, which are pointed out on the x-axis of this left-hand side graph, we can see with inclusion of AI, by 2040, AI could achieve 100% technical automation, what humans can do it. And as Viren sir has mentioned 2 types of use case of AI in the beginning: discriminative use of AI, generative use of AI. There are certain things which falls in between as well, such as recommendation engine and fraud detection as well. Now I'll move on to the next slide. Apart from this, let's talk about the 4 broad domains that we have discussed. First is customer operation. In customer operations, AI could add up 45% of and reduce its current cost by 45%. And it can help in 3 ways. First, customer self-service interaction, where imagine you are talking with a company where the company has employed just an AI and you are talking with an AI. Second is customer agent interaction, where you have employed an AI. Imagine you're asking your Alexa to order a pizza for you and you don't have to do anything. Third is agent self-improvement. That is, company themselves are helping their employees and train themselves with the help of AI. Now, what the positive multiplier are, it would reduce the response time and increase the sale in a long term. When it comes to marketing function, AI can come across in 5 broad domains: strategization, awareness, consideration, conversion, retention. And the positive force multiplier here would be efficient and effective content creation. Our fellow team have given example of Sora AI, which was released 3 days back, another content platform which can speed up this process. Moving on to the next slide. Now coming to the software engineering, here also AI could add a value up to 45% on the current annual spending on this function in 5 broad domains, coming from inception and planning, system design, coding, which could be completely done by AI in future, testing, maintenance. Now the positive force multiplier is interesting here. One study found that software developer using Microsoft GitHub Copilot completed tasks 56% faster than those who are not using the task. And 20 million coders have already adopted Microsoft Copilot, which means that AI will not replace us, but the people who are using AI will certainly replace us. It will also help in R&D as well. It would reduce the R&D cost. It would help in research analysis, virtual design, virtual simulation, physical test planning. This could be all done by new technologies which are coming by Apple as well. The force multiplier here is enhanced design making and improve product testing. Moving on to the next slide. Could you please move into the next slide, please? One slide back. One side back, please. Right. Now, AI could help in not just in business, but in society as well. We'll cover 2 aspects. In terms of our buildings and cities, AI could help address the system and demand by enable integration of large amount of renewable This could again open the door for a One Sun, One World, One Earth initiative, Global Solar Alliance. Next is building and cities. AI can help us to label infrastructure, satellite imagery. This could be all done with AI. In terms of transportation, we have already seen automatic self-driving cars, and it has an application in industry and manufacturing as well. In terms of farms and forests, it would help in agriculture, forestry and land use, climate science and ecosystem. How? In farms and forest, Government of India is promoting drones, which are AI run. In forestry, we can have land management. And in climate science, we can model data and predict weather and other system. This all can be done with the help of AI in a faster manner. Now, my colleague will take over from here.
Thank you, Tulsi. Let's move on to the next slide, please. Right. We've heard the concerns: job displacement, bias, misuse. AI's potential downsides shouldn't be ignored. But instead of panicking about a loose cannon, let's see it as a powerful ship we can steer towards a positive future. According to a research by McKinsey, inaccuracy, cybersecurity, and intellectual property infringement are the most cited risks of generative AI adoption. In order to calibrate accuracy, we can focus on data quality and diversity and ensure that a wide variety of unbiased data sets are used in order to mitigate bias. We can also implement rigorous auditing and testing mechanisms and strive for constant monitoring and improvement. When it comes to cybersecurity, we need to develop and implement robust techniques to detect deepfakes and other forms of synthetic media, focus on public awareness and education, and make sure that stringent regulations are in place. In order to battle copyright infringement, we firstly need to evolve the current data usage guidelines to bring it at par with the pace of evolution of technology. Moreover, as a rule, when using AI generated content, we can ensure that we are disclosing its role in creation, and the AI also, on its part, can cite references for any sources of inspiration that it has used for generating content. Next slide, please. Right. Tackling job displacement and augmentation is also possible by implementing the right balance of human AI collaboration. We also need to upskill the current and future workforces to bring them at par with the level of modern technology and make sure that the implementation of AI is in gradual tiers. There have also been complaints of bias leading to unfair outcomes in areas like hiring, loan approval, and criminal justice. Apart from data auditing and diversity, as we discussed, we need human intervention and oversight ingrained as part of the process. We can also tackle disruptions by diversifying the AI systems that we use and not depending solely on one. We can increase accountability by investing in R&D on explainable AI, which helps in understanding how AI arrives at a decision. Most importantly, humans can still retain control by the human in the loop mechanism, where the ultimate decision-making power still lies with us. We can also battle creation of echo chambers by designing algorithms that promote exposure to diverse viewpoints and information sources, even if they differ from consumer preferences, and by viewing AI as a tool or medium of collaboration to increase creativity potential. Next slide, please. Just in case one might say that these are just theories, there have been radical changes being made by organizations in the real world. For example, to deal with issues of racial biases in recruitment in Amazon, as well as the accidents caused in self-driving cars by Tesla, as raised by one of our members here, these companies are already training their softwares rigorously on diverse data sets. Walmart and Siemens have taken the onus of upskilling their own employees and surrounding communities through their digital academies and educational programs. While IBM and Microsoft have implemented their own versions of explainability frameworks, JPMC has started running their shadow IT strategy where new AI systems are run in full parallel with the existing systems. Google and Netflix have also implemented algorithmic changes to promote diverse content, not in alignment with their usual preferences, to prevent formation of echo chambers and foster creativity. Facebook is also actively working on including fact-checking partnerships to improve relevance and accuracy of its news feeds. More importantly, strides are being made at a macro level as well, with the introduction of the General Data Protection Regulation by the European Union and extensive funding on explainable AI by the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. Let's move on to the final slide, please. Right. So remember, AI is a powerful tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or ill. By addressing these concerns proactively, we can ensure that AI navigates towards a brighter future, a future where accuracy, security, and respect for intellectual property are guiding principles. Insights from multiple research surveys are presented on the slides, and we can see that majority of the people look forward to the advent of AI with a mix of excitement, hopefulness, and curiosity. The companies who see the potential that AI can unleash have already started implementing a strategy to adopt AI for its variety of uses and have started reaping benefits for the same, and others will follow soon enough. The fact of the matter is that AI is here to stay, and with thoughtful consideration and mindful practices, we can definitely ensure that it stays a force multiplier and not a loose cannon. Thank you.
Thank you very much, team. May we have our jury members on the stage, please? Ms. Swapnil, would you like to go ahead with the first question?
Thank you, Puneet. Thank you, Khushi, Tulsi, for the presentation. I saw that you enlisted a lot of use cases and examples throughout, your presentation. So one question related to that, according to you, which use case has the potential of a transformative impact on a country like ours? On India, which use case do you think would have a most transformative impact?
Some of the most relevant use cases that we discussed, which have already created an impact, was how I discussed Facebook, right? So there was a lot of hue and cry both in USA and India about the kind of posts that are coming up, especially during the elections, right? So to prevent biases, through those posts, and also to prevent issues with for mitigation of false information, Facebook had also already implemented flagging these posts, and similarly Google also, in order to prevent us from going to completely rightist political viewpoint or leftist political viewpoint, just in case we try to read similar types of articles, Google has also started promoting articles which are contrary to our viewpoint, so that we get a clearer and rounder picture in a country which has such a huge population, and where even it has such diversity that even a single spark of miscommunication could create riots. This is very important, but more importantly, in a country like this, employment, generation of employment is a huge thing. Like, we can't be stressed about how AI will be replacing our current employment, right? So the other companies which are taking these initiatives, like I mentioned, Walmart or Siemens, by launching digital academies to promote and upskill their own employees and communities, I think that would create the maximum impact which is required over here in India. But Tulsi, if you feel like adding something, please.
I would like to add, we talked about the software development, which was on a third slide. I think India's IT export are around 200 billion, more than that. And that is one sector which will be most impacted through it. And this says Indian coders or Indian companies, IT companies, can certainly implement AI in them and then fast process what the work they are doing. And the second major impact would be on the content creation. India is aiming to be a $1 trillion digital economy only by around 2028. So in that case, the content that is generated from India, since we have a huge population, that on that part, I think India would do great on a longer period of time, since there are a lot of influencer people who are coming on this platform who are creating content. So in these two segments, I see a lot of growth from Indians in Indian context.
Sir Bardhan?
Yeah. So you mentioned about the need for data quality improvement for better AI. So can you give some specific examples? What do you mean by that?
So some
Am I
issues.
audible?
Yeah, Tulsi, go ahead. Yes, sir, you're
Okay.
audible. We could hear your
So-
question. Tulsi, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you how the process should be in order to have the better AI. I would like to pitch one new novel idea here. Just like in academia, we have these journals where it goes through a lot of scrutiny, because after that a research paper is published. We can have a consortium of government, policymakers, and companies, and after any to have certain benchmarks, checkbooks. And after an AI technology or has passed all those things, it can only be launched in the public domain. If we can have some independent body which regulates like that, then we'll have that quality AI. And in terms of data as well, there also that body need to have create certain guidelines which all the company need to comply with. And that when that strict compliance will comes, then the quality of data and the quality of AI both will improve, I think.
Yeah, I agree with Tulsi, and I think in addition to this, an additional parameter could also be the number of one is the number of sources that the data set is referring to, so that it does not have a one-dimensional viewpoint over this. And second, also to have sort of a human intervention in the kind of sources that are being used, so that we can make sure that there is no bias in the process, and the regulatory body, as Tulsi mentioned, could sort of intervene and have a fact check on this as well.
I have no questions.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, jury members.
Thank you.
And thank you, Team IIM Indore. We're going to observe 1 minute of silence before we go on to the final team. Meanwhile, if Team IIFT could turn the cameras on and be available. Are we ready, judges?
So am I audible, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay,
So-
so welcome Team IIFT. Over to you for taking the stage away.
So good afternoon, everyone. So today, on the occasion of Founders Day celebrations, we have this particular topic, which is Thinc Debate, and we have this topic, AI as a force multiplier or loose cannon. So we want to go with AI as a force multiplier, and I would like to introduce ourselves. I am Manoj, and my co-panelist, who is Athar Bhajane. And so we together will take forward the discussion in a very structured format. So firstly, I would like to welcome you all to the world of AI, where AI is not just a tool assisting you, but a friend who is arguing with you. So next slide, please, sir. So let's first discuss about the current importance. So when it comes to the current importance, let's see where the AI is getting used. So machine learning, sensor technology. When it comes to machine learning, it is basically where we are feeding data. We are helping the machine to understand and analyze the data, and it's able to predict the future. So that is a form of AI. And next comes the sensor technology, where it is able to perceive and interact with the environment. So for example, any GPS sensor, if we take, it's able to detect our motion. So that is where it's taking a form of sensor technology. And when it comes to natural language processing, so it can understand a language. So any kind of chatbot, if we take, it is able to interact with us. And if we take into consideration the robotics, which is another form, it is able to perform physical tasks, any kind of waste processing, let's say. It is able to segregate any toxic tasks which humans can't do. The AI is able to do. And next, computer vision, where it's able to recognize, for example, face recognition, if we take, it's able to recognize your patterns. When it comes to basic logic, even if it's a basic calculation which you have to make on a calculator, it's all programmed. So next, if we move on, we can see about how, sir, the previous slide, I'm not done yet. Yeah, so we see the companies like the giants, Amazon, Apple, and Meta, they are investing heavily, a whopping $74 million into research and development. Why? Even the countries, if we say, we see growth in investment. We see in China, in US, in India, we see constant growth. Why? If we question ourselves, the main reason is that there is a huge scope for improvement. They know that the future is all AI. So if we see in the investments of startups, 4.4 billion by US, 8.77 billion by China, and then 3.24 by India. So if we look into the evolution of AI, the basic AI, how did AI even come into existence? Firstly, in the basic format. For example, if I want to play a game of chess, the AI with its limited scope, it is able to counteract my movement, any kind of strategy which I can make. It is able to counter move. So that is where basic AI comes into play. When it comes to advanced AI, it is able to generate the logic. It is able to perform multiple tasks. If we take Swiggy, for example, Swiggy is able to do multiple tasks at the same time, delivery, food, anything. So when it comes to autonomous AI, we are not there yet, in this phase, but autonomous AI where it has its own brain, it is working on its own. So all we have to do, we have to wait for it, and we will get to witness it. So AI market we can see constantly increasing. Next slide, please, sir. So next we will move on to AI in different sectors. So the main sectors where AI is addressing, we can see education, healthcare, business operation, and finance. So when it comes to education, personalized learning. So it can track your interests, it can track your progress, and then it can personalize your learning. And next, if we come to intelligent tutoring system, so it is able to provide feedback based on your activity. Next, automated grading and assessment. A person doesn't need to sit there and grade your assessments or assess you. He doesn't need to waste his time. AI is able to just automatically track your progress and just give you grades so that you get a feedback, you get to assess yourself. It's saving time here. And when it comes to healthcare, diagnosis and treatment, we know when we want to diagnose something, chemicals and molecules are what which are needed, which can go into our body and address the changes. But AI is able to tag along with this diagnosis. It's able to go into our body along with the chemical. That is where it is getting useful. And when we talk about drug discovery, we are able to address drug discovery by analyzing complex molecules. Which molecule would make the change, would make the difference? So we are able to do the drug discovery using this. And next, remote patient monitoring. We can use devices like Apple Fitbits, which are already in usage. So these are able to track the condition of the patient. So they are able to, before itself, they can give a warning that this particular condition may arise. So it's helping us to analyze the future itself. So next, business operations, industrials and supply automation. So basically logistics. In the logistics, it's very helpful when we are transporting any material from one place to another. Product design, it's able to come up with new creative stuff where it can make it attractive and aesthetically pleasing. Next, chatbots, it is able to address your queries. When we cover the finance aspect, fraud detection, it can analyze transactions, suspicious activities. When we come into personalized financials, it can advise you based on the present condition, live information in the market. When it comes to algorithmic trading, it analyzes the market risk and the returns. So based on that, it can optimize and get you returns. I would like to hand it over to Alok Brara so that he can take it forward.
So I hope I'm audible. So moving on, I'll be talking about AI as a force multiplier. So first I'll start with actually defining what a force multiplier is. So I think in context of a business, a force multiplier is something that significantly amplifies the effectiveness of an existing resource or capability. So basically it will allow businesses to achieve more with the same amount of input, whether that input is maybe time, money, or maybe some other resources. So I think I will like to define four key characteristics of a four multiplier in business. It will be again amplification, which will increase the output or impact for something. It will be efficiency. It will allow me to it will allow the companies to increase the efficiency with the same amount of report resources. Then it will be innovation, that it will allow them to unlock new capabilities and approaches to maybe address the existing problem. At the same time, the most important thing is scalability. It will help them tap into their untapped potential. So AI has been at the center of this, and it has played a pivotal role in helping major organizations. So what we can clearly see here is we have defined four sectors, and according to each sector, we have given an examples of how company have been using AI in order to tap into their potential and grow their business manifold. So first, I'll talk about the manufacturing sector. So basically, in manufacturing sector, it's basically used in predictive maintenance and anticipating equipment failure, even for assembly tasks, as used by Siemens, or BMW is using AI robots for improving worker safety and precision as well. At the same time, some companies like Tesla, they have been integrated into a whole new level by integrating it into a self-driving car technology to revolutionize transportation. Moving on in the finance field, in finance, I think the due diligence part and the protection part is very important in order to detect fraudulent transactions which can happen in real time. So as JP Morgan is doing, they are utilizing AI to detect these transactions in real time. Even BlackRock is using AI algorithms for their day-to-day algorithm trading and optimizing their investment decisions. And then a company like Zest Finance is even in the lending sector is using AI to give credit scoring model for the underprivileged population. So what they do is they assign a particular score to them, and accordingly unbiasedly, they are able to give loans to them for those who are in the underprivileged quarter. Moving on in the healthcare segment, so basically here, two major uses of AI will be to analyze patient data and to help accelerate the clinical trials which are there. So Mayo Clinic is using it to diagnose diseases like cancer. Even Babylon Health is using powered chatbots to interact with customers on a personalized level and giving consultation as well. Moving on in retail, the whole essence has been to move to a side of a personalization recommendations, giving it to the customer. So as Amazon, Walmart, or even Myntra is doing, they are giving personalized recommendation to customers on the basis of the data that is given to them. And even Walmart is using it for inventory management, for predicting demand and reducing waste as well. So all of this just proves that AI is a force to reckon with and is a very optimum resource for a force multiplier. Next. So moving on, so not just talking about the present scenario, all the companies, I'm sure even we have an eye on the future as well. So accordingly, there are three basic future scope that we were able to define with respect to AI, which is decision making, personalization, and innovation. So as a famous article published by IBM in the year 2020, it mentioned that it was a 7-step evolution that AI will be doing in the future. So according to that, we have already exceeded the simple stage and we are on the precipice of the advanced AI stage. And moreover, I am definitely sure that in the future, we'll be going into the autonomous decision making phase where complex human decisions will be taken by AI. Then AI would even be able to integrate ethical frameworks into decisions, which is sort of a conundrum that or inhibitions that people are having with AI nowadays. So that will happen in the future. Then personalization, next level personalization, I think will be able to achieve with the help of AI, as it will be able to analyze even live data for example, in marketing to determine the pricing, maybe to analyze the customer data and according to the customer demands and market fluctuations, they will be able to cater to that. And third thing, I think this work needs a lot of work because in terms of creativity and innovation, I think AI is are lagging behind with respect to what creativity a human brain can foster maybe. But accordingly, eventually when we are able to feed it more data, I think it will be able to contribute to that segment as well. So according to a report published by McKinsey, projected market size of AI in 2024 is estimated to be 305.9 billion and the annual growth rate will stand at 15.83%. So it's a staggering rate at which the AI will grow. And definitely, as the infinite amount of potential that it's having, at the same time, the investment is likely to grow manifold in the next 3 years, as mentioned in the report by Stanford and Goldman Sachs as well. So it's clearly defined that in the next 3 years, we are going to see a lot of big money coming in order to fuel this research. So next slide, please. So last but not the least, I mean, given we can go on and on about all the pros that the AI is having, but at the same time, I think it's very pivotal that we cannot turn a blind eye towards what the cons of AI are, because I think it can have some detrimental effects like job displacement and potential unemployment. But again, as mentioned by one of our fellow teams as well, mostly the mundane jobs will be replaced by AI. So even if those job losses happen in a certain sector, eventually it will lead to increased efficiency. Apart from that, there are these ethical concerns and biases, as well as security and privacy risks like hacking and manipulation, even unfair outcomes and ethical dilemmas that are there in the current scenario. This, of course, can't be overlooked, and oversight can cost us dearly. So, with respect to that, I think a lot of work is required. But I think if we need to, as a team, we need a concluding statement. So, I would like to say that while AI's potential for good is undeniable, its power will require responsible development and implementation. So, but at the end of the day, by harnessing its strengths and mitigating its risk, I think we can ensure that AI can serve us as a force to be reckoned with for prosperity for all of us. So, with that, I would like to conclude our presentation. We would like to thank FMS for giving us this platform And thank you to our esteemed panelists for lending their ears to us. Thank you, Swapnil.
Thank you very much, Team IIFT. Let's have the jury members on stage to ask a few questions.
Okay. I have a similar question that I asked other teams. Who regulates? Should it be industry? Should it be the government? Should there be another agency? Who should regulate?
So I'm taking on this question. So when it comes to regulation, it is basically it has to be from both the sides. Any kind of action, it has to be from both the sides. Firstly, the government can keep any kind of restrictions on the usage. For example, we know everything comes with pros and cons, but AI is inevitable. So we have to learn to sail through. So when it comes to regulation, the government is what keeps the regulations, but the people at the same time, they shouldn't surpass these regulations. They have to obey it, and at the same time, they have to take into consideration.
But you think the government should regulate?
Government has to regulate, and at the same time, people have to align with that regulations. So it comes from both sides.
So adding on to what Manoj said, even I feel that the voice of the people should be taken into consideration and all the stakeholders should be addressed properly. So I think maybe we can sort of form a committee wherein the representative of all the stakeholders will be there, and accordingly they'll give their recommendations to the government, and then government can go on to implement those regulations.
Nice presentation. And I have a question. With computerization and automation, one of the advantages that was told was it will bring in fairness. With AI, it is the reverse. We say that things are going to be more biased. So shall we accept that biasness, or is it something that will be inbuilt into the solutions, or something else, or we can see a world with AI where there is no bias and we have same kind of a fairness that we expect from a computerized or an automated system. Now the systems will be autonomous, of course.
So ultimately, I believe it's a game of probability which is going on. So it's all working on data. Based on the data, it's able to predict. So there are obviously deviations in data also before the machine can take a decision. So we can trust AI with that, because AI is ultimately what we design it to be. So without any errors, if we make it, it can efficiently capture the data and then predict. So it's a game of probability, because based on the data, it's giving the output. So if you make the data more precise, so the output is going to be more precise. That is why I believe, though it's biased, it's all about trusting the AI with it, because it's all about data ultimately.
So adding on to it, I think yes, I mean with exposure to more data sets, I think eventually it will get better. Currently, undefinitely there are certain biases which are there. But just to quote an example, as my fellow mate Manoj said that in the game of chess, even AI. So back in '97, when Gary Kasparov, the then world champion, he played with Deep Blue system. So he was easily able to beat it. But then they had a rematch in 2001 wherein they trained the system with games of Kasparov and even some other previous world champions. So eventually, in that game, the system was able to beat Gary Kasparov even at his prime. So I think with able to feed them with proper data set, I think it will eventually be able to be better.
Okay.
One quick question, Athar and Manoj. Thank you for the presentation. You have listed a lot of pros, such as personalizations, etc., for AI. What, according to you and according to your research, is one of the most innovative features of AI in the context of India, and why?
So if we consider India alone, so India uses, India is famous for its IT services, which it outsources. So when it comes to India, the IT departments, if you take into consideration, they are able to provide it to the other countries. So if I take into consideration, for example, Infosys, the data, they are able to analyze the data and then of complex things. So they are able to personalize based on the situations, business environments. So I personally feel that based on the business environments, the IT companies, IT sector is the main sector which is able to take data into consideration and then analyze and giving output to various other countries.
Puneet, we're done, I think.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, judges and the team IIFT. We're going to take a 1-minute pause before we conclude the debate for the judges to mark their ballots. So please stay with us. I'll give you 1 minute, judges, to mark your ballot. Good, judges? Okay, awesome. So before we conclude this debate, I just want to thank everyone for their time. I want to thank the teams for participating. It was a pleasure being a host today, and I would like to invite Mr. Ashwin Malik on stage to propose the vote of thanks and give you next steps on when the results will be out, etc. It's been a privilege. Over to you, Mr. Ashwin.
Thank you, Puneet. Yeah, is he going to spotlight me or he's not doing that?
Can Mr. Ashwin be spotlighted? We don't need the presentation. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you, Puneet. And on behalf of FMS Forum, I would like to extend my thanks to the participants, the jury, the organizing committee, and the volunteers who helped put together the Thinc Debate today. AI in many ways promises to be one of the most significant transformations of our times. And like all such transformations, it charts a partially uncertain future, full of promise, but also likely pitfalls. The different presentations in today's debate were conducted with great eloquence and touched upon substantial issues. On the positive side, there were references to the well-known enhancement in efficiency and productivity that could arise from AI. There was also, references to its obvious benefits in sectors like agriculture, education, healthcare, etc., and the wider social good that could come about because of the benefits arising in these areas. There was also a reference to the fact, an opinion voice that perhaps the job loss fears of AI are exaggerated, and what it is more likely to do is replace tasks rather than jobs. On the detrimental aspects of AI, some references were made to terminologies that are becoming pretty popular when we refer to AI these days. There was a reference to the black box, or the so-called opacity in decision making that AI follows. There were references to rogue AI and the possible unfettered outcomes of unregulated AI, and therefore the need to take a pause in AI development was also discussed. The erudite jury asked insightful questions from the debating teams and which enriched the event greatly. There were a whole set of questions, but if I was to highlight just a few, there were repeated queries on how and who to regulate AI. There was a relevant question asked about what could be the most innovative example of AI when we apply it to our country. And there was also a query about whether AI would make businesses more risk-prone or risk-resilient. All in all, an extremely engaging and interesting debate. Thank you once again on behalf of FMS Forum to everyone. And the jury will now select the top 3 teams. And members from the top 3 teams will be invited to the Founders Day event on the 2nd of March. Notices will go out to the concerned individuals so that they can make themselves present. I wish the teams all the best, and may the best team win. Thank you, gentlemen, and ladies and gentlemen. And with this, we come to the end of the Thinc Debate today.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ashwin. A virtual round of applause to all the participants. With this, we call it an end of the day. Thanks a lot to the jury and the participants. Give yourself a pat on the back. Participants did a great job. And we look forward to communicate with you on the next steps very soon. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
For the opportunity, sir. Bye.
Thank you for the opportunity. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. It was a great experience.
Thank you, sir.
Good time.